Dark Myth Wukong, Chapter 48, Meeting Fan Xin again. A thought flickered, and Sun Wukong couldn't help but feel a stir within him. Fortunately, he didn't dwell on it for too long. He bent down, hoisted Tang Sanzang onto his back, and a faint blue aura enveloped them both. In the next instant, their figures vanished, reappearing 1,000 miles away. His strength greatly enhanced. Sun Wukong hadn't yet had a chance to fly with his full, unrestrained power. This time, even carrying Tang Sanzang, it made little difference. His body moved like a bolt of lightning. Sun Wukong's speed had reached the absolute limit of this dimension. Any faster, even by a fraction, and he would instantly break through the spatial barrier and appear in a higher-level world. However, although Sun Wukong pushed his spiritual energy to its fullest, it seemed he wasn't using his entire strength. At the very least, the Chaos Sky Silk, transformed into wings, had not appeared on his back. From the Arctic ice plains to the southern heavenly gate, it took merely 3 or 4 Jang hours, ancient Chinese time unit, approx. 2 hours each. Not to mention other sages. Even the previous Sun Wukong would have needed to fly for a full day to travel from the Arctic ice plains to the southern heavenly gate. This demonstrated just how much Sun Wukong's speed had increased. In truth, this significant boost in speed wasn't solely due to the growth of his spiritual energy and physical enhancement. A larger factor was the layer of light enveloping his body. This aura not only enhanced Sun Wukong's defense, but also made him almost one with the entire Pangu Realm. As such, when flying, Sun Wukong felt no resistance whatsoever, neither from air nor space. That was why he could achieve such terrifying speed. When Sun Wukong appeared at the southern heavenly gate, he suddenly discovered that the entire heavenly palace was completely enveloped by a kind of formation. This formation didn't possess much defensive or offensive power, but its sensory capabilities were exceedingly strong. After a few attempts to probe it, Sun Wukong reluctantly realized that, with his current strength, he couldn't bypass this barrier to enter the heavenly court. Having no other choice, Sun Wukong had to force his way in. The moment he stepped into the barrier, loud bells instantly rang throughout the heavenly court. The resonant sound of Huangjong Dalu, ancient bells, echoed between heaven and earth, followed by a dense tide of Arhats, Vajras, Bodhisattvas, and Buddhas pouring out. However, not a single sound was made, indicating that this group of Buddhist soldiers was by no means doing this for the first time. Sun Wukong's fiery eyes' golden gaze swept across, and in an instant, the entire heavenly court was in his sight. He could even see the expression on each Buddhist soldier's face with utmost clarity. But after observing, Sun Wukong's expression turned exceedingly grim. Because these Buddhist soldiers hadn't just flown out haphazardly, they had formed a battle array. This array was very familiar to Sun Wukong. He had even personally participated in setting it up. It's the Zhoutian Stars Great Array again. Though, it's also an incomplete version. But since when did the Buddhist sect know how to deploy this great array of the demon race? Forcibly suppressing the doubt in his heart, Sun Wukong knew that now was not the time to fight to the death with these Buddhist soldiers. Currently, the entire heavenly court was filled with members of the Buddhist sect. Even though his strength had greatly increased, he wouldn't gain any advantage against such a sea of people. Therefore, Sun Wukong simply focused on thickening the faint blue protective aura around him. Gradually, the light blue transformed into a deep blue, then into an azure. From the outside, one could only see a large, dark azure sphere of light. Once the color stabilized at dark azure, the water sphere began to expand continuously. Actually, Sun Wukong had initially planned to charge directly through with this water sphere. But on second thought, he wasn't here to wreak havoc in the heavenly palace this time. He had more important matters to attend to. Thus, he temporarily changed his mind. When the water sphere expanded to a diameter of about 10 zhang, ancient Chinese unit of length, approx. 33 meters. Its surface suddenly began to churn violently, as if a giant hand was constantly compressing it. The Buddhist soldiers, who were about to charge forward, temporarily halted. This unknown, bizarre situation made them dare not act rashly, because everyone knew that Sun Wukong fundamentally didn't know any Taoist or magical arts. Yet at this moment, he had created a large water sphere. Although it looked unimpressive, unusual events often signify something strange. Therefore, several million Buddhist soldiers just watched as the water sphere continuously expanded, then expanded further, and then began to compress and deform. Finally, as if reaching a limit, the water sphere suddenly exploded without any warning. A low, deep sound echoed, and the entire water sphere instantly transformed into billions of water droplets shooting out in all directions. At first, the Buddhist soldiers didn't react, thinking Sun Wukong's spell had failed. But when those flying droplets struck the Buddhist soldiers at the front, everyone's expression suddenly changed. Because those seemingly harmless, ordinary water droplets upon contact instantly turned into extreme cold qi. Regardless of one's cultivation level, without exception, everyone was transformed into a block of ice. After a few breaths, over 100,000 people had turned into gleaming ice sculptures. Witnessing this terrifying scene, the people behind finally faltered in fear. Although they had long prepared for this scenario and had rehearsed the formation countless times, facing such a murderous demon king, no one could be without fear. In just a few breaths, over 100,000 had died. Moreover, this demon king, during the previous encirclement of the demon race and the heavenly court, had ultimately slaughtered several million Buddhist soldiers single-handedly. This was fundamentally a demon lord who killed without batting an eye. Therefore, the Buddhist soldiers' originally firm fighting spirit completely disintegrated at this moment. But with several million people, once panic set in, the scene became incredibly horrifying. Watching all this, Sun Wukong shook his head. In reality, the Buddhist soldiers of the Buddhist sect were not weak at all. In fact, they were even a bit stronger than those of the demon race and the heavenly court, because every disciple of the Buddhist sect was a fanatical believer of Buddhism, and that kind of faith would transform into terrifying combat power in battle. Unfortunately, that was in the past. Ever since the Buddhist sect's campaign to encircle the demon race and heavenly court ended in a devastating loss, this faith had plummeted to an unprecedented low. Furthermore, with Tathagata later being assassinated by Sun Wukong, this shattered the Buddhist sect's faith in an instant. Just when everyone in the Buddhist sect was dejected, Buddha from the upper realms suddenly descended, possessing immense power, and subsequently regarded Sun Wukong as a great enemy. At that time, no one in the Buddhist sect believed that Sun Wukong could escape the pursuit of the upper realm Buddha Knight. Therefore, everyone had the demeanor of expecting a great revenge. But when that upper realm Buddha was slow to return, someone finally couldn't hold back and performed a divination at the cost of 1,000 years of lifespan. The result was that Sun Wukong was unharmed, while the upper realm Buddha had vanished without a trace. When that person wanted to divine further, his whole body suddenly weakened, and in an instant, he turned into a pile of bones. This terrified the onlookers to their core. Very quickly, someone intelligent figured it out. The great prophecy art of the Buddhist sect was a secret art, passed down through generations by the founder of the Buddhist sect. It could foretell the future and know the past. However, the higher the strength of the subject of the prophecy, the greater the cost in lifespan. That Buddha, with his emperor-level strength, had to spend 1,000 years of lifespan to prophesy about the flowing light myriad world's Buddha, a peak sage. But when he tried to prophesy about Sun Wukong, his lifespan was instantly drained. Yet, that wasn't enough. The laws of heaven and earth even extracted that Buddha's own time, causing him to turn from a living person into a pile of bones in an instant. This terrifying scene horrified everyone to the extreme. Sun Wukong. Just how strong was he? While the millions of Buddhist soldiers were in chaos, Sun Wukong, carrying Tang Sanzang, had already appeared in the peach garden. Deep within the peach garden, before a small peach tree, Sun Wukong stood in a daze. He suddenly reached out, wanting to caress that peach tree, but hesitated, and then lowered his hand. Only one sentence remained.
Fan Qin, are you still well?